It started to snow, each drop of snow gradually fell, filling the yard. Kim Gwang-ik walked step by step despondently. When I got back to the room, I saw everyone gathered laughing and talking happily. Corporal Kim Gwang-shik didn't seem to be interested in the situation at all. He just stood outside the door looking around, and they were talking and laughing. That corner, it seemed like they didn't notice him standing there. Someone immediately jumped down to greet Corporal Kim Gwang-shik. Gwang-shik asked, "Hey, where is everyone? Where is Kim Min-jun?" That guy immediately stood up straight and solemnly said loudly, "Private Jin Chol-ho, report. Everyone has gone to the warehouse to prepare snow removal equipment, yes." He continued, "Sergeant Kim Min-jun, he said he would stay in the physical training room until he started work." Private Jin Chol coughed and then closed his mouth and thought, "I'm done. I accidentally used honorifics when talking about Sergeant Kim Min-jun." Then Kim Gwang-shik didn't say anything, just looked at him indifferently as if holding his breath until his face turned pale with worry. He thought, this is a big deal. Corporal Kim Gwang-shik did not react and went up to say, "Please tell Kim Min-jun that the platoon leader is coming to find you." Private Jin Chol-ho immediately ran to deliver the news. He ran and said loudly, "Yes, it's clear." In his heart he thought, "We have to escape now," leaving the corporal behind with the others. Kim Gwang-shik smiled brightly and walked over to ask, "What's going on? What are you guys doing?" Someone was lying down laughing and talking while the other two were concentrating on thinking. There was paper and a pen in the middle. The two of them were seriously looking at Corporal Kim Gwang-shik and then smiled and said to him. Kim Mun-ki turned to ask Corporal Kim Gwang-shik first, while Jeng Han-young sat and laughed, "Where did you just come from? Do you want to join?" "We don't." He continued to say, "We are betting on how long it will be before Kim Min-jun becomes captain. On the paper placed between them is written, betting record, how long will it be before Kim Min-jun becomes captain? Jeng Han-young 6 months, Kim Mun-ki 1 year and 6 months, Lee Ki-tae 8 months, Jo Tae-wook 1 year and 2 months, Kim Jeng-tae 2 years. Do you see this? Our betting record." Kim Gwang-shik picked up the piece of paper and looked at it. "You two lure people into betting every day," Kim Mun-ki said with a smile. Jeng Han-young even guessed 6 months. He continued to laugh and say, "How can a person become a soldier in just 6 months? Nonsense, Han-young doesn't like being laughed at." He immediately loudly explained, "It was my hunch. That guy is not a normal person." Kim Mun-ki kept laughing, and Kim Gwang-shik was still reading the paper. Corporal Kim Gwang-shik's face was pensive. While Kim Mun-ki continued to stick out her tongue to annoy and tease, he tried to scream and see if anyone would bother to look. Jeng Han-young replied while threatening with his fist, "Yes, no, but later. I will settle the account with you," while Corporal Kim Gwang-shik writes something on the paper. After finishing writing, he put down his pen and paper, attracting everyone's attention. Jeng Han-young looked to see what he wrote and suddenly his eyes were shocked. Jeng Han-young turned around and asked, "Oh my god, did you really guess like this? You can't back out after betting." Even Kim Mun-ki was curious to take a look, but Kim Gwang-shik just turned away. Corporal Kim Gwang-shik walked out the door waving goodbye and refusing to answer. The other guy shouted, "Just 1 month, this guy is crazy." Jeng Han-young looked at the corporal and smiled helplessly and said, "He is even crazier than me." Another line appeared on the betting record, Kim Gwang-shik bet 1 month. Move to the gym, which is dumbbells. Lifting weights, full equipment. There was not a single person there. Kim Min-jun is seriously lifting weights. The muscles in the back are working continuously with the body. He continued to switch to kettlebells, his arm muscles were clearly visible in every line. He dropped the 2 dumbbells and landed with a thud on the ground. Kim Min-jun was a bit bored, thinking to himself, "I've been lifting weights for many days and haven't seen any muscle gain." He used his hand to feel his body. "I remember back then when I was in Isgard, even that beggar like Isgard could do it. The increase in strength meant the combat effectiveness also increased. When I was still a black mage, on the board current system, the strength of otherworldly heroes' passive combat power increases by 150%. As the strength index increases, the combat effectiveness also increases." Kim Min-jun just imagined the image of an extremely strong and fighting soldier leaning on his hands and laughing. He also leaned on his hands but didn't find himself happy at all. "Isn't this the strength of a returning warrior? Sigh, it seems like getting stronger won't satisfy me." Kim Min-jun just imagined the image of a soldier who is extremely strong and has the ability to fight against enemies. He laughed loudly. He also leaned on his hand but didn't feel happy. The system board dinged. He was surprised and was no longer depressed. The status board read, "Skill achieved, strength level E, combat power increased to level 5. Min-jun happily said, "It's up." Kim Min-jun looked at the system board and happily thought, "It looks like a basic skill, but what is this? Oh god, you can also upgrade your rank." While Private Chol-ho ran over, "Poke your head in and ask for a report." Private stood still and raised his hand in salute. Kim Minjun just reported, Sergeant Kim Minjun, there is a platoon leader coming to find you. Kim Minjun was happy to receive a new skill and it seemed quite delicious. His eyes were just thinking about that, not sure how much he heard. He turned around and said, is that so? Thank you. The private seemed shocked by Kim Minjun's reaction. The private walked out the door and saw Kim Minjun smiling half-heartedly as he put on his coat. The private immediately thought, what's wrong with everyone today? Administrative office door. Kim Minjun stood at attention and said, reporting, Sergeant Kim Minjun, I have been ordered to this administrative department. Platoon leader Kim is sitting in front of the computer screen, calling, come here. The two of them started moving when the platoon leader said, it's no big deal, let's go to the consulting room and talk for a bit. The platoon leader started talking and said, how are you feeling? It's been a week. Kim Minjun pointed to Kim Minjun's room and replied, yes, I'm happy. Platoon leader Kim smiled happily and congratulated you on your promotion. The two entered the room and were about to sit down when he continued to compliment, since the day before, I have seen that you are very talented. The platoon leader sat down first. Kim Minjun sat down as usual while thanking the platoon leader for his compliments. The platoon leader gave Kim Minjun a certificate and said, this is why I called you here. The platoon leader smiled happily and said, your achievements in the previous mission and the fact that you got a perfect score in the promotion discrimination, this is what the company commander wanted to give you. Kim Minjun opened his hand to look, his mouth spoke. Thanks. The platoon leader continued, don't be sad because you only received a superficial reward like this. Our Hunter Corps usually doesn't like to organize formal and formal events like that. Notes, Certificates of Merit. Sergeant Kim Minjun, the named soldier, was awarded this certificate of merit because during his military service, he became a good example for other soldiers to follow. Hunter Corps, Colonel Lee Junbyom, Battalion Commander of the 2nd Battalion, Division 104, the regiment commander said as if wanting to comfort him, but don't worry, all your achievements are recognized. Kim Minjun heard that and asked if he would be recognized for his achievements. He held a certificate of merit to hide his expectant expression, but his eyes were enough to see. He asked the regimental commander, and with so many merit certificates like this, would I be given any special promotions? The regiment commander laughed helplessly, ha ha, is that what you want? The regiment commander said, but it's not that easy, probably no soldier will receive a certificate of merit as early as you. But are you sure you will receive additional certificates of merit during your time serving in the army? Kim Minjun excitedly answered, 10, if I collect 10 certificates of merit, will I be able to get promoted? The regiment commander seemed speechless and thought to himself, a certificate of merit is not a discount on the price of a fried chicken restaurant. He acted as if he had an event to receive a certificate of merit with an extra half promotion. A few days later, somewhere, on the road, before entering the tunnel, people were lining up into 4 teams with 2 commanders shouting, everyone paying attention. All carrying weapons waiting for orders. The commander said, today our platoon will be on a mission to attack the dungeon. The commander's voice kept ringing to inform the soldiers. Just follow what we have been trained in the past, and there will be no casualties. I completely believe and have no doubt that we can complete this mission safely. The soldiers were ready to wait for orders. Sergeant Kim Min-ji brought a box over as the platoon leader continued speaking, announcing before, the dungeon we will attack today is. Not knowing what it was, the soldiers turned pale with disgust. The platoon leader took out his mask and announced that the lair of the monster rat was called the Rat. Someone's foot stepped on a dirty green water umbrella. Kim Min-jun's team is the 2nd platoon. The 2nd platoon, Kim Min-jun goes last holding his legendary baseball, and Zheng Han-young holds the axe, and finally Private Lee Dongjun wields the sword. Led by Lieutenant Kim Chol-min and Captain Lee Sung-ho, some people exclaimed that the gas was escaping around. Oh, this smell! Green gas was floating everywhere. Everyone was wearing gas masks. The dungeon that the Hunter Army calls the Rat is where the monster rats live. Private Jin Chol-ho and Sergeant Kim Jimin are moving very carefully, even though it is not classified as a high-danger dungeon. But, on average, more than 200 monster rats appeared, and some people raised their hands to stop. The tight space of the cave limits the ability to use guns. The person called the platoon leader. This dungeon is really difficult. The two of them considered the situation and came to an agreement. Besides the direction of movement of the platoon, this space has only one entrance. We should lure them here. Illustration of space. The platoon leader said, okay, I understand, let's prepare the bait. And on top of that, the dungeon smelled bad, so the soldiers had to use the Hunter Corps special gas masks. Someone holding the decoy said. It's Private Ju Songgi, he's holding the box. Zheng Han-young said to Kim Min-jun, oh my god, this smell is so terrible. The platoon leader reached into the box. He took out the specialized bait for monster rats, ripe bananas. Kim Min-jun and Han-young found it disgusting. If they only ate this, the smell wouldn't be that bad. The regiment commander showed everyone where to place bananas to lure mice. He suddenly bumped into something. It was a piece of bone, and if you looked there was more. He felt cold down his spine when he saw that scene. Seeing bones scattered everywhere that looked like rat bones, the platoon leader looked ahead. The platoon leader looked ahead. The ground is full of bones. He wondered, this is. Someone in the back announced, they're here, most of the rat monsters are coming through the front entrance. The platoon leader gave the order, the entire team prepared to fight, moving straight to the entrance and front. Everyone act quickly. The platoon leader commanded, the group of private soldiers took up the rear guard position with the deputy squad leader. Everyone shouted at each other to get into position. Zheng Hanyang said to the person next to him, let's see who catches more will get beef pho, okay. He immediately heard and said, okay. The team leader patted his shoulder, don't be nervous. Zheng Hanyang turned around and asked, will the team leader also participate? He sighed, adjusting his posture. A whole herd of rat monsters rushed out to attack. The platoon leader ordered, maintain your position, do not rush forward arbitrarily. Stay in place and deal with it, Kim Minjun thought to himself, holding the hammer and nails, so excited. Senior soldier Kim Mun-ki of the 3rd Squad and the 2nd Squad used his sword to cut the rat monster's head across. Ha Squad senior soldier Zheng Han-young also tried his best to kill the rats. Captain Lee Sung-ho, captain of the 2nd Division, used his fists to destroy monsters. Kim Minjun looked around happily. Kim Chong-tae beheaded the mouse. For Tae-uk also coordinated smoothly. Kim Gwangshik is not inferior but kills 2 mice with both hands. Kim Minjun was distracted and didn't notice 3 mice coming towards him. Still whispering in my head, everyone is very good. A mouse was beaten to death by a hammer and nails. He fanned himself, a series of mice fell off their heads. Minjun thought to himself, special. It's the other 2 people in the back. One person pulled out his sword. He was still thinking, while taking down all the rats, breaking through the ranks and rushing out. The people Kim Minjun was talking about were the vice captain of the 2nd Squad, Sergeant Kim Min-ji, and the captain of the 2nd Squad, Lieutenant Kim Chol-min. The 2 of them worked together to defeat many monsters. Kim Minjun continued to fight and admired. Only the 2 of them were able to defend such a large area. As expected, the level was not simply achieved. He paid attention to the other side. One person kills a lot of monsters. With a serious face, it was Private Lee Dongjun. Kim Minjun smiled and thought to himself, this side is gradually working, it's true that through training they have improved. On the other side, everyone is concentrating hard on fighting. Suddenly someone said, this side needs someone to assist. Dongjun said, let me. Na Min-huk silently watched. Then focus again. At the back, the defending team feels unsettled. Immediately announced, a mouse monster appeared in the rear, a mouse monster appeared. The platoon leader immediately informed the teams that monsters appeared in the rear. Division 1 and Division 4 are responsible for the rear entrance. The private soldiers used their shields to defend and gradually retreated back. Absolutely do not attack, keep in line. Division 1 and Division 4 quickly moved towards the rear, some using swords, some using knives, some using hammers. The mice had their heads cut off. Scattered on the ground. Choi Tae-uk looked around and said, it looks like it's over, the rats are gone. Let's focus on searching a little more, Kim Minjun said to himself, What, this is, he suddenly realized something. Because of the gas mask, he realized it late, so he turned around. But this clearly is. Suddenly the ground moved continuously. Kim Minjun shouted loudly, they are coming from the ground. Na Min-huk looked down in panic. The ground suddenly burst, people panicked and fell down to avoid it. Kim Chol-min was bewildered, not understanding what was about to happen. A giant rat appeared. The platoon leader thought to himself, a regular monster. A giant rat with 4 purple eyes and sharp fangs. Kim Chol-min thought about it and wondered, could it be that the pile of bones just now was his work? Was he here, catching and eating the rat monster, that huge size, after all? Suddenly noticed the front. Gwangshik was sitting on the ground seen by the monster. The platoon leader called out worriedly, Gwangshik. If this keeps up, Gwangshik will be in danger, but my legs can't move. Someone in the back shouted loudly, Kim Gwangshik calm down. Get away quickly. Gwangshik was scared by the giant thing in front of him, his whole body trembled. The monster raised its hand to tear him apart. Gwangshik stretched out his hands to support himself helplessly, his eyes closed. Raised the sword high. The sword was blown away by it. Dongjun grabbed his shoulder. I have to avoid it, stand up quickly. Gwangshik turned his head and said in a scared voice, Lee Dongjun. The monster screamed madly. Kim Chol-min shouted in fear, no. From behind Kim Minjun held the shield and flew up. He jumped on top of the monster, heading towards its tail. The two of them were under the monster as if preparing to be attacked by it when Minjun was able to fly up. Observing its features, Minjun thought to himself, crazy eyes and unusual strength. As expected this time it was also demonic energy. A blue light appeared on the monster's body. The bright light makes it impossible for others to imagine. In the dust and smoke, Kim Minjun raised his thumbs up and said, "Great. Lee Dongjun." You stood proudly under the smoke calling Dongjun. Dongjun smiled and nodded. Everyone behind arranges well. Kim Minjun, it's dangerous, stay back. Kim Cholmin orders, only the commanders will follow me, the rest will deal with them at their positions. The monster became more and more crazy. It stood up and attacked relentlessly. Then used both hands to hit the ground hard. The sharp rocks high above were shaken and fell down. Everyone around was extremely panicked. Kim Minjun calmly said, "This kid is worthy of praise." The giant rat immediately moved forward to attack him. Kim Minjun's eyes flashed with lightning. Just in time, I was worried that someone would see this scene. He kicked the ground. Then fly straight up. Use magic to create 3 large circles towards the monster. The monster took all of Minjun's attacks and was knocked upside down. Without waiting for it to protest, Minjun approached it. Hitting the monster directly, blue light immediately appeared. Minjun kept his fist still and looked at the monster. The molars were gone, the whole person was pressed against the wall, the mouth was wide open. Minjun let go of his fist. The colored gas emitted from the monster's body was absorbed by Minjun. The air pulled out faster and faster. Drained from the monster's body. Until the system displays a notification that a certain amount of demon energy has been absorbed, increasing the demon energy index by 1. Kim Minjun happily said, "Oh, you have some value too." He smiled and said, "Okay, thank you."